a lot of these military people, I don't feel like they're getting like the help that they need, especially like I just talked about Maine today and how that guy wasn't even deployed. But he was like the top ranking marksman that taught people how to use all the weapons and everything. And so that just goes to show you, like, seriously, we have a problem with not giving these people that are supposed to be fighting for our country and our lives, giving their lives on the line, yet we kind of treat them like dog shit,
Oh yeah. Yep.
you know?
Absolutely. I mean, my ex was in the military too, and a lot of his coworkers and stuff had similar mental health problems that he did, and they did not do much at all for them.
It's
If
really
anything,
sad.
it was, deal with it, get back out there, keep on moving.
Right. Well, it's really sad to me. So I used to work with like Medicaid and stuff, and then they have the VA, which they can choose to go to, and then they get their free healthcare, right?
Right.
A lot of people don't like going there because they say that the doctors treat them like crap, or they don't get like the medications that they need.
Or they don't
Um,
listen. They don't listen a lot of the time,
yeah.
even with a lot of the spouses and the children. Like being pregnant when we were living on JBLM, the hospital,
Hmm.
we couldn't even go there because they wouldn't even listen. Half the time that I was having contractions, we actually ended up driving an hour to a hospital in Puyallup because my contractions wouldn't stop, and I was like 2 months before giving birth, or before I was supposed to. They did nothing. I ended up being on bed rest and on medication to keep the baby from coming out early.
See, that's bull crap. Like, legit, that is that's bull crap. I'm just gonna say it. It's bull crap. Like, my dad was in the military too, and my mom said that it used to be good. It used to not be this way, according to
Oh,
her.
my grandfather was in the military, and my grandfather's dead now, but my grandma was, she was a military wife for a long time, and it was never
Mhm.
like that. Now, the medical care that she's got now is just way, way underrated.
Yeah,
The way that it is for them is sad.
it really is. And then honestly, the pay's not that great. Gonna be honest. And
Not for the
now,
hours,
no,
not for
and
all the time that they're away from, these guys. They miss men and women. They miss their children being born. They miss family events. They miss so much back home, which also leads to depression,
regret.
regret, feeling like, that a lot of what people don't talk about too is when they come home, the adjustment period, because they've been
Mhm.
gone for so long, adjusting from coming, or from being gone to coming home, the kids, the wife, like, or the husband, whichever spouse.
Right.
It's a huge adjustment period. Every time my ex was gone and came back home, the kids were acting out. They, young babies don't even recognize them, and that's
And the thing
hurtful.
is, the main reason why they do it is for their family and to support their family and to, you know, a lot of them do it
Protect our
for the
country
money. Well,
and for our
that too.
you
But
know
like, yeah, but a lot of them feel like they don't have a choice. That's they're gonna know nowhere in life unless they do something. It just it really bugs me, and it bugs me that we have such a huge population right now of veterans that are homeless.
Yep.
And I'm like, you guys are not obviously not caring for them the way that we need to be. Like, I mean, I just talked about Maine shooting, but I'll just go over this again. Like, he didn't even was never deployed. Yet obviously having that 16 years of being in that marksmanship and teaching other men how to do this stuff really got to him, because all of a sudden he started hearing voices and telling people that he needed to kill people on the army base. And so they did end up putting him in a mental hospital. It was for 6 weeks. That's it. Like, what made you, I want to know, like, what made them do the decision to be like, okay, we're done at 6 weeks. And like, did they do checkups? Did they, I would really love to know. Um, And of course, right now we don't know any of that. But I'd love to know, like, what if they did any extensive, okay, here's,
Investigations and treatment?
yeah, like,
Probably
yeah,
not. Probably
because
not.
I don't know, but like, you need, we need to be doing more for the men and women that are going to put their lives on the line for us. I mean, I was just having this other conversation too the other day, and this includes too police officers. Like, I mean, and I think it depends on your definition of what defunding the police means. I have just come up with the term that I'm like, you know what? How about we refund it and put it into places where it actually can be more beneficial, like more training, more people. We need someone on like the scene at all times to be someone that can be a negotiator, that can deal with knowing, hey, someone's in this mental state right now that is not good, and we can help and deal with that, instead of shooting them because you had fight, flight, or freeze and you're taught in the academy that you protect yourself. um just, I feel like there's so much more that could go into, instead of just, we're going to pay you because you've been here for X, Y, and Z many years, then you get a pay raise. Like, how about instead pay for, the good that they're doing in the world? Because most people become a cop to do good. I
Right.
feel like, I hope so. So why not do that? And why not distribute the funds elsewhere? Because we've seen, because like I've always said, like, yeah, defund the police, because to me it means putting those funds in other places where they can be used to help us all as a community, not just, oh, we're just going to put it here and just leave things as is. No, I feel like there needs to be a lot more. um so
Different type of
that's
outreach
just
programs.
right. Well, I mean, because
That's
we've
the
done
different
deep
thing.
they've done defund the police. I think it's in Georgia. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys always do. But I think it's in Georgia where they completely have decided just to defund the police, and it's a nightmare. Like, people don't even feel safe walking out of their own home. Like, it's a nightmare. So I don't know, but I also don't like. I also agree. Like, we just had a shooting here recently with a 14-year-old kid, and this mom called 911 because he had a knife and was threatening to kill his mom, and then he ran outside. um well, the cops ended up shooting and killing him, and I'm like, okay, I feel like if they had a negotiator on scene that could talk to this kid, get him to go down to their
Someone
level.
with a mental health
Right,
knowledge,
right, right.
for that.
I
Because it
feel
can't just
like,
be anybody that tries to do that. It's got to be someone that understands how
right,
the brain works.
right. And that's where I'm like, okay, yes, defund the police in this way. So that's where, like, I've come into like well, we need to refund them in different ways and actually add on people like negotiators. I understand that's normally in the SWAT situation, but I'm like, I feel
I
like a
think it'd
lot of
be
this could
helpful
be.
for any department to have that,
Mhm,
though.
I think so too. I do.
Absolutely, because a lot of the calls that these officers go on does deal with a lot of mental health
Mental health issues.
situations. And, a regular police officer, I don't know how their training works exactly, but not every single one of them is going to know how to deal with just any sort of mental health situation. So having the proper, maybe one person that goes on those calls, but one or two people in per county that
Hmm.
goes on those calls and is trained specifically in mental health with probably psychology degrees.
Right. Like, someone that actually knows. I feel like, especially, you have a partner. Why not have one of those partners
Mm-hmm.
be, each other's backs, instead of, um so I know it's different in every state. So depending on your state and your programming, but where, like, how the police are sent. But essentially here, they start them off at in the cells, in the prisons. That's where they start them. And then they put them, oh, okay, you've done, your 6 months or a year, whatever, in the jail. Okay, we're going to put you on highway patrol. That's two totally different worlds. And
Yeah.
you're just going to throw them out there. I mean, of course, people are getting like shot because you see this as a threat because you have been in this hostile situation for 6 months, a year, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say defund the police. I say I guess not even defund because that has come into terms of people just deciding that we don't need police at all, which I don't agree with either. So refund it in different ways if that means that we need more support for them in that way.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. So all right. And this one was a while back again. Actually, I might have done this story. Oh, that's all right. We'll do it again. Can always be talked about. So on Saturday, August 5th, there was a couple that went out with friends to celebrate Zari's Hildebrad's 21st birthday. So according to a magazine, a neighbor reported hearing gunshots early hours of Sunday, but chose not to investigate in in spite of like fear and despite not having her phone with her. She allegedly had that left out at home. So Sarah Hildebrand is reported to have texted her coworkers that day, letting them know that she wouldn't be coming into the office. So Zaris Hildebrand eventually admitted that he actually was the one that had a gun, and was the one that actually shot and killed his wife. He ended up purchasing new bedding, hydrogen peroxide, and a 96-gallon garbage can, sorry, to put her body in. So when after they heard the gunshot, then they went ahead and they searched Zaris's home, and police conducted a search utilizing the aerial drones before they actually ended up discovering her body. So in the Long Crime Network said that there was a couple had recently become husband and wife just as 3 months ago, and her body had been discovered actually in a storm drain that was sighted by the police drones, claiming that the bloody mattress had been discovered inside the couple's residence. So after hearing the shots, the police ended up doing a drone searched the house, and found this bloody mattress. And that's when Zaris ended up admitting that he ended up killing his wife. So, and this was in Alaska here. So he was in the National Guard position. And this was a horrific discovery that the police ended up. So first of all, her mom said that she had been missing since August 7th, but just because she hadn't received any text messages, she hadn't been to work or anything like that. But once the neighbors actually heard that gunshot is when they first came to his home. And Saris did say that he murdered her and he put her in a trash can and he dumped her on the side of the road like she was a piece of garbage. And they were both 21 and they just had gotten married 3 months ago. So, I mean, what could have led to this? Like, just 3 months. 3 months. So they were both actually in the military. Zaris was a cannon crew member that was assigned to the 2nd combat team that was airborne, the airborne division. And she was a medic, and they were both living on the Alaskan Army National Guard base there. So
How long did it take him to show up at his house after hearing the gunshots?
Hold up. All right. Gunshots were at 11 a.m. is when someone said that they heard gunshots, but they did not report it because they just thought that it was part of a military drill.
Oh,
At 4:30 is when they ended up showing up at his house. Because again, they're both working for the army and she didn't show up. So I
so
mean, and they're both living on base, you know.
right. But I do understand the person that said that they thought it was just part of the drill or something like that. Because when we lived on base, you heard all sorts of things all the time.
Mm. So
I'm not.
it's just like whatever. It's just another
It
Tuesday.
becomes normal, and at some point, you just kind of like block it off. I guess
Right.
for us,
Yeah.
especially the helicopters, they used to bunch
Uh
of people. Anytime I had my grandma come stay over, she's like, "Who can sleep through that?" Yeah, because we're used to it by now.
right.
At some point, you kind of get blinded by the noise, I guess. Like it just doesn't resonate anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So and the thing is they're like, well, with Hildebrand, the husband, he made like this all to protect, not only the state of Alaska but the entire country. This is going to have to go through um the army's court, which is totally different than the normal court.
Mhm.
So that's something completely different as of right now. He's made an appearance on court as recently as a Friday, but it's unclear if like what he's going to plead or anything like that. Um, so Sarah's mom is hoping that he's going to stay in like detention center until the rest of his courts are going to come. But technically, with the way that the court system works there, it's totally different. And I'm not exactly sure how Alaska's is, but they could just have him also be doing drills and everything like that, like normal, or he could stay in detention. It just kind of depends on their situation. So, I mean, both of them didn't have any police records that like backed up any sort of like violence or anything like that. Like I did do a background check on both of them. And if you guys want to check up on anyone in your lives, like one of the easiest ways to do that too, I've found is with Truth Finder. That is a great way for basically anyone just to kind of just do a quick check and make sure that this person is who they say they are. But it's so hard when you have someone in the military, especially two people in the military. They're going through so much. They're just I can't I can't even imagine and comprehend, but they were going through so much just being on base and then having to deal with that. I mean, I know that being in the military, I've dated a few people that were in the military as well, and it's hard on you and them. Like
Mhm.
they are I've noticed like as I watched one of my exes go through military training, just kind of change and shift. And I guess you have to, like you could because
Oh,
you have
they
to be ready to die, you know?
have to. They have to shift it and change. And one thing I noticed a lot too with my past partners that were in the military is anytime they were really, I mean, everyone kind of sees the movies, right? With the drill sergeant that's like in your face, just, and that really happens in real life. It really does. They really get
Yeah.
say mean things, and then they come home, and a lot of the times that gets taken out on the spouses, the partners,
Mhm.
the household, because they're in this such a negative mindset, and then they come home, and even to a happy house, it changes the whole dynamic, all of it, especially if they've been out in the field or they've been deployed and then they come back.
Right. Yeah. Like I've noticed, I mean, I definitely noticed a total change in one of my exes. Like I knew him before he even signed up and then during like while he was going through it and it's I mean they have to change them. They have to change the way that they they think and act and all this, and then they're expected to, when they get home, not to be a soldier,
Yep.
and they
It's
still
almost
are.
like they're trained to shut off their emotions, right? Almost.
Right.
So then
Yeah.
at home, could have so many different things going on, whether it's a happy moment, a sad moment, or fighting. And it seems like almost every time it's just like a fight response. There's not really a flight or fawn response in most cases
Yeah.
on their side. It creates a lot of hostility in the household. And that's not for everybody, obviously. It's just something that I noticed with my exes that were in the military.
Right. Yeah, no, and I can say that I noticed the same too. It was like a 180. I'm like, who is this person now that you've gone through this? And I feel like, you know, that's where a lot we need we need more mental health for these guys. Like, and that's one of the reasons too. So, they don't allow someone that's on antidepressants or anyone that has ADHD. They don't allow them to be in the military as well while they're taking those medications, because it can affect like the way you're thinking. And they want sound of mind people, but
But
they're
then, when you're in the military and you start having those problems and you speak on them, what's the consequence?
yeah. And it really sucks that they can't just be like, hey, you know what?
I'm struggling right now.
This isn't for me. I gotta step back or get out, or because then they go to jail. There is no out. And the thing is they're signing these kids up at like 17, 18, when their brains aren't even fully developed yet.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I understand too why there's this ban right now. And it's not banning transgender from going to the military. It's saying if you're starting testosterone or estrogen, like, we just don't want you, if you're starting it, to be on it while you're here, which I think is fair, because it messes with your mind, it messes with your body. Like, so much is going to change during that. I mean, you're basically going through puberty all over again in a different sense. So it makes sense. Like, it makes sense. But they're saying, you know what, if you are transgender, you're more than welcome to come. We just got to say, look, if you're starting it, no, but if you've been on it for like 2 years, I think, then you can come in and no problem, which I'm like, "All right, cool, no problem." But, I do think it's good that they are being like, "All right, assessing those issues," but they're not assessing the issues that they are themselves creating when they create soldiers.
Hmm.
And I guess, I mean, yeah, so, and like you said, a lot of that brings to the home, and with them, neither of them had either, nothing in their past. But obviously, too, this was premeditated because he bought all that stuff previously.
Well, and off of my experience, when there was incidents that happened with my ex that was reported to chain of command, so through the military, it didn't
Hmm.
actually go on paper. So there could have been incidents
Mm,
that were not actually properly documented or reported,
okay.
which is part of the problem.
Yeah. Well, and they are like the military has their own set of rules. Just like just like if something happens on a campus, they have their own set of rules. So, which is that's another problem, because it was a while ago, and you know what? I'm just remembering off the top of my head, so um don't come at me. I'll find an article and actually talk about it too. But there was this girl, I think it was like 2 years ago or so, that was here in the University of Utah, and her boyfriend killed her, and on campus, and she like spoke to campus police officers before about this, and then regular police officers told her, you need to get you need to get the campus police involved, and campus police said, well, that's way too big for us, you need to get the regular police involved, and it was just like a big mess, and she ended up dying, like,
Yeah.
from her ex-boyfriend going crazy. Like,
Mhm.
I can find that. um
So, I mean, there's possible that there was incidents that just weren't properly reported or things that you can't find. Maybe it's in the military base of records. I don't know. But
right.
I know
Oh.
that personal experience. There was a couple times that I had reported things to my ex's chain of command,
Mm-hmm.
taken out of the house for, they put him on like a 48-hour hold or whatever before he was allowed back, and he had to
Like a
talk to some,
detention, like they were saying that this guy's
yeah,
in.
professional to address the issue, and then they talked to me, and then he was allowed back at the house, and nothing else further came from that. It was just like that one conversation, and then there was nothing else.
So in that situation too, like, you are on military base, did you feel like at all that you could leave, or that he could leave the house and you tell him, like, get out of the house and that you'd be safe?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so, because, when he came back, the fear that comes in when you report these types of situations from the victim side or the woman's side, right, is, well, what, he's going to be pissed when he comes back. If they're just going to allow him back, he's going to be pissed. And then what do I do? How do I handle that situation? Or, the fear takes over, and the threats that they do during the situation, saying, well, if you call anybody, then I'll do this or I'll do that, the manipulation part of it, right? And then you follow
Yeah.
through. Then you have all that anxiety for 48 hours. Is he actually coming back? What do I do? And being a dependent, that you were counting on your husband, he had sole income, and all of the finances were under his control, the cars, the house, all of it. And so up and leaving is not really an option, especially a lot of people that moved here or moved to the base with their partner and their
Yeah.
families in another state. So a lot of cases,
Right.
no, it's not that easy to leave. And I think a lot of people that haven't been through those situations assume, okay, well, if they're not treating you right, just up and leave. It's really not.
Well, it's not that easy in general, because I've dealt with that with not even being on a base, but I'm saying, like, in general, just like even being on that base, I feel like that's a next level of difficulty, especially if you are the spouse that is getting abused and you are not the um
Service
you know
member.
y- yeah.
Yep, because in my situation too, when off base, so the incident where my wrist got broken was off base. We were living off base, and the police were called. His
Mhm.
command was called. He was obviously taken into custody right away, but they got him out. He spent one night in jail. One night in jail because they got him out. The military did. Got him out so he could go back to work.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and I mean, that's why, like, in this post, like, it said, like, they're
Uh,
hoping that he keeps them contained, but technically they can just get him out. Like, it's like a get out of jail free card.
it can be, absolutely. I mean, he went literally the next day and started, going back to shooting guns and doing all the things that he was supposed to be doing. And his sentence was lessened because of his, he did end up getting kicked out of the army for the incident that happened. But
Okay.
um, it was, and it was not easy. It was not easy at all.
So he was so I mean, too, are people taking this as a way to get out of the army?
I don't know, potentially. I could see that happening.
Being like, I can't handle this anymore. I'm not saying this is what happened with this guy, but maybe he's like, I can't handle this anymore.
Well, and you
If
could
I
see
kill
it.
her, am I gonna get discharged? And I mean, is it better that I live in jail than die in the army?
I'm sure some of them feel that way. I'm sure a lot of them feel that way. I know a lot of people that were in the military that were just, I can't wait to get out. I can't wait to get out. But they keep,
Yeah.
it's easy. Once you sign up, like that's hardcore.
Right. And I don't think that a lot of people realize that. And again, they're signing kids up. Let's just get that clear. They're signing kids up. They don't have a fully functional brain. They're telling them at 16, 17, oh, do a pre sign up or whatever. And then, oh, at 18, we'll sign you up. And then, like, oh, this is like a free ride to college, which it doesn't end up being. Just saying that too. But college is something that you can change your mind on. You don't like what you're doing, go change it and go do something else.
Yeah.
Um you're stuck. Like you are stuck.
Well, and
You are
then,
literally writing your life away, which really sucks. Like there are some people that genuinely want to do this and help. And then sometimes like, when you get into something then you're like, "Oh wait, that's not for me." You know? But
which
you can't. You're stuck.
you absolutely do change your mind on a lot of things. I know
Yeah.
several people that going through college, they started something and then they were like, you know what, this is not for me. So they
Yeah.
switched their path, right? Well, if you're signing up at 17 and now you're legally binded in this contract, you can't change your mind on those. And that's scary.
It is. It really is, especially with everything going on like right now and you don't have a choice. When you get deployed and that's it. Like and you know what? Things change over the years. A lot can change in even 1 year. So like for you to not be able to choose, I want to do this anymore. Nope. The government literally owns you. And
Yeah.
that's terrifying.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's terrifying too, the fact that like I thought this was crazy, but I saw at the post office because I was dropping something off, they had a all males that are 18, remember you need to sign up for the draft. It is legally you have to sign up for this. And I'm like, so I did some research and yeah, men who are 18 must sign up for the national draft. They have to. They don't have a choice in this matter. And the thing is we want to talk about equality and women and everything like that. Okay, then why aren't women signed up either? Like, shouldn't we be making them go as well? The fact is that we're making people actually go to, like, we're forcing them to go fight for your country, not because you want to, because you have to, because the draft has already happened before. It hasn't happened in a long time, but the fact that that was in the post office said something to me as of like, oh shit, you know I'm like, it's that's terrifying. And I know too, since the whole thing with PTSD is coming out, and now a lot of people know that there's a lot of military veterans that are not being treated right. We're not treating them right as a country, as citizens. Like, we're not treating them how they're supposed to. Why are people like, why would I want to sign up for that? Like, before it was like, okay, you are for sure going to get a job after this and you'll be taken care of. But now what?
Yeah.
I yeah. I've got issues with that. That's yeah. Oh, okay. The thing on the Utah University, I found the link for it. It was actually a 21-year-old student. So she was killed by an ex-boyfriend. She was on the phone with her mom right before she died. Um so she was killed. Let's see. When was this? Like I said, it was a few years ago. 2018. Okay, so it had been October 23rd. Oh my gosh, it's already the anniversary. Okay. 2018. It was Lauren Mikulski. So she was actually from Washington, moved over here to Utah, and she was found dead shortly after some gunshots were heard from like residential dorms at the campus. There was a thing, all of a sudden we heard on the news, oh, there's a shooter at the university. Like, everyone's on lockdown. Um, well, and her suspect was Melvin Rowland. He was found dead offsite the camp church parking lot downtown of Salt Lake. He was actually gunned down by some gunmen. The cops ended up finding him, but the mom said, she's like, I was on the phone with her and suddenly I heard no, no, no. And I thought that she might have gotten a car accident because that's the last statement that I ever heard from her. So, and she's like, I called 911 right away, like just, because they thought that she got in a car accident.
Right.
And as she called 911, her husband ended up calling her phone, kept trying to call it and be like, are you okay? And this woman ended up picking the phone saying that they found her things just all on the floor. And well, so Lauren actually, her friends didn't like McCloskey, let's just say at the least. I'm sorry, Roland. Her name was McCloskey. So Lauren McCloskey was dating Roland and her friends didn't like him. And her friend was like, hey, I did a background check and I don't think this guy is who he says he is. Found out he has a long criminal history. Ended up with a ton of his girlfriends having saying that he abused them. And actually that wasn't his real name. So he even lied about his age, he lied about his name, he lied about everything. So finally she told him, she's like, look, you're not who I thought you are. So you just need to leave me alone. So she blocked him. She blocked his friends' phone numbers because they were all contacting her. Him, his friends, like, were all just starting to harass her. So she ended up calling the university police. She's like, I'm being harassed by my ex-boyfriend and his friends. And they came and turned around and said, well, that's not our problem. You need to contact the Salt Lake police. So she went ahead and contacted them. And they're like, well, you live on campus and that happened on campus. It is a campus police issue. So she's just getting like the runaround here.
That's typical, right? It's what we
Yep.
be a common trend.
Yep. And actually Roland was convicted of rape of a minor that he found on the internet in 2004, and he was released from prison in 2013. So she found that out. She found out the fact that he had been beating up his ex-girlfriends, and then she was like, nope, we're done. So then, he goes ahead and starts harassing her, having his friends harass her and all this. Well, and he ended up tracking her down from after she went to one of her classes, and she was actually in her car. And then she was on the phone with her mom when she heard that, and then he killed her from a gunshot wound. And it's like, it feels like to me both sides of this have failed her, to be honest. Like, university cops are like, oh, sorry, don't know what to do. Call like the real cops, Salt Lake cops. And Salt Lake cops are like, it's on campus property. We can't do anything. Like,
I mean, couldn't she have done a no contact or restraining order off campus? I don't understand why they told her they couldn't do anything.
Well, she was trying to like report it and say like, hey, like, well, so she first went ahead and contacted campus police, and she said, hey, they're harassing me. There's something that we can like do about that. And they're like, well, they just told her basically block him, and she's already done that.
Right.
So they're like,
when someone's obsessed with you.
right. And they told him just block him and let that be, and we'll keep an eye out for him. Was basically what they told her. And then so she called, 911 and filed a report and was like, this guy lied to me about his age. He he's a felon. Like, I am not okay with this. As soon as I found out, I was like, nope, all contact gone. And he
Which
was
is
trying
good
to
for her.
Right. And
It's
then
good.
he's trying to contact her, explain this away. It's just
Both sides
I
definitely failed her in that situation.
that's what I feel like.
And
Absolutely.
I realize the no contact
Absolutely.
order is just a piece of paper. It doesn't really stop people, but that would have been at least a step in the right direction, I guess. But
Right. Well, and I kudos to her friends for going out and pulling his background report and finding out that he's using a fake
absolutely, I
name.
feel like nowadays you kind of have to do that.
Right. Right.
Anytime you're starting to date somebody, you have to, it's so, the world
That's
is,
why you contact me. You're like, hey, just need
yeah,
to
I
check
know.
up,
You
find out
every
what's on there.
time I'm like, okay, so this guy messaged me. Can you
Yep.
run a background check?
Yeah. Well,
Before
and
even hanging out with them. I have you do it every
right.
time before even hanging out with them one on one.
Yes.
And even for friends, because it's
Yeah.
scary.
It is for sure. Well, and like I tell people all the time, I'm like, guys, so yes, I do more extensive background checks than this does, but this will give you the basic information, such as, if they've um been to jail for anything and if it was federal or if it was just civil. And then you can deep dive into that. But at least knowing that definitely helps. And again, like that's totally why I like use and support my friends and family from using Truthfinder too, because like it's super easy to use. It's just like quick. You can do a quick, that's what I use for my quick checkups. Like when I'm like, all right, I haven't done a deep dive. Here's the basic information. He's got, it looks like a federal, and maybe a civil charge. And then you're like, all right, do a deep dive. So then I'll go ahead, I'll do my deep dive. But at least then, like that gives you a little bit of something you can be like, hey, so don't know what this is, but I'm gonna investigate that a little bit more and find that out. So yeah, like seriously, that's what I end up using. I end up using Truthfinder a lot. And if you guys want to check that out, links in the bio too. So speaking of that, so there was this case. Again, I think I've talked about this one before, and I might get a little bit of the details messed up because it's just going off of my head. Sorry, normally I have like all of this like right now, but because we're just going back and forth.
Uh,
Um, so there was this, I think it was in Oklahoma, and there was this case that ended up, this man ended up taking these two girls. It was on a quick vacation or like, I don't know, a museum, or it was something like of that nature, right? And it was like a teacher's friend, something like that. And the parents just let the two girls go. Well, they end up going missing, and then they end up finding six bodies and this guy dead. Turns out this guy is a convicted sex offender, and still don't know why he's dead too. Obviously someone else was there. But well, that's just my opinion. I personally think someone else was probably there. That's why they're all dead, but maybe not. Maybe he killed himself. I don't think I've gotten the autopsy report back on that one. So I don't know yet. But the dad came on national TV and he was like, I just wish there was some easy way just to be able to check up on my people. And I'm like, dude, there's like stuff like Truthfinder, like where you can just easily check and make sure that, this guy's not a sex offender. Or I don't know, search sex offenders in your area. Like that is absolutely
oh,
like
I did
great.
that when I first moved, and that was terrifying. I do my
But
shopping online. I do Walmart online order because I'm so terrified to go to Walmart with
dude,
my kids.
Walmart's scary though. We just had someone stab someone else with a screwdriver at
The
Walmart.
world is scary. Just going out into
Yeah.
the world, it's scary. When you start actually paying attention to all the crimes that happen, and
Tell me
it's
about it.
That's why I stay retreated on my little private section of the world.
Yeah. So like but I'm sitting here and I did a thing on this and I didn't mean any disrespect to like the families or anything like that. I'm like, but could these two girls, at least their lives, been saved if you just did like a quick search, even on Truthfinder or like just search for sex offenders? Like,
I don't
could
even
this
let
have?
my kids go to birthday parties without me anymore.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, you know how I don't know if it was like this when you were a kid, but you know our parents would just drop us off and we'd go to the
Hmm.
birthday party, right? And then they'd come back and pick us up. Like say it was at Chuck E. Cheese or something, you know. I don't. I stay there the
Yeah.
whole time and watch my kids because you don't know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I did. I found the whole article on these. So 7 bodies, including 2 teens that have been missing, found in Oklahoma. Um. So Monday afternoon at Oklahoma. This was in 2023 May. Yep. Okay. Um. So they were found about 90 miles from Oklahoma City. The 2 girls, 14-year-old Ivy Webster and 16-year-old Brittany Brewster, as well as Jesse McFadden, 39, is a registered sex offender. Okay, here's the thing. Yes, he was not registered in your state. But again, like I just did a quick search on Truthfinder and I could see that he was a sex offender. Like,
So it
and
doesn't
they just,
even have to be for that state. It pops up with all of it.
for Truthfinder, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, like hold up, I can run his stuff right now. I just have to. I gotta do my 2-fact authenticator stuff. So hold up. But yes, like it doesn't even have to be for that state. So like, if this is someone, I mean, the fact that that was like, I don't know. I think it was a like teacher's friend that was taking them, and I'm like, that's weird. That's weird, in the first place, you know.
And it's an older man. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I gotta send the 2-fact.
It would
Okay.
even weird me out if it was a teacher.
Right? I mean, Jesus Christ. I know I'm going all over the place right now, but my friend in Indiana, she just had her her daughter's math teacher just got arrested for having sexual altercations um with other girls, and he would use Snapchat to do that.
Mm-mm.
And she's like, I don't know if my daughter's been involved or not because she always says like how hot her teacher is. I'm like, ugh, gross. So, okay. So McFadden. And Oklahoma. Okay. So, like, easy. I mean, this shit is easy. Right here. Jesse McFadden. So, this is just like my soft poll that I normally do. Right here. And he was what, 39? 39? 40. I bet you it's one of these two, if not both of them. Doop, doop, doop. My computer must be slow, probably because I am live. Okay. That's the speed limit one. That was not him. It's got to be the other one then. I bet you it's one of these. But yeah, they said like he is a registered sex offender. So like, if he already had that on him, it's mind-boggling to me that you're just like, oh, like I wish there was a way. Yep, right here. I wish there was a way that I could check right freaking here.
Yeah.
So
Rape
grand
first
larceny
degree by force.
and having a grand larceny, which means he had a weapon in the house. And this one's minor. Yeah.
Wait, there's Is there 2 charges for rape and first degree? Or is it the same charge?
So this one's September 2017.
Rape first degree.
This one is on dispo date, January 2004. When was the conviction? Nope, this one's different.
So there was 2 different rape charges that he had.
Maybe 3. Hold on. No, that one's the same as the second one. Okay, yep, there's 2. There's 2. And you see how long that took? That took freaking 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I said that, like, I said, you know what? Checking this could have saved those girls' lives. And someone went on and was just like blasting me, saying like how insensitive I am to the other family. I'm like, no. When the dad comes out and says he wishes there was a way to check that stuff, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, dude, there is a way. And a lot of people don't know that.
Raising awareness for people who don't know about it. And clearly the dad did not know about that.
Right. That's what I mean.
If anything, that's helpful for anybody that's you're
in the future
watching. And in right. I mean, shit, if I was watching, I'd appreciate it.
Exactly. I'm like, no, I was like, absolutely no hate at all. I'm just saying that, like, there's an easy way to go about this, and you might not know about this, but like, I mean, and that's simple. Like, that is the simple way to do that. Then if I wanted to deep dive into more and find like the documents and stuff like that, I would take the case number and I'd do a deep dive depending on the state and everything like that and find out what is public knowledge. And then if I wanted to too, then I could request it. If it's not publicly already available, then I could request it. And a lot of times that's a fee and stuff like that, but that's available. And then I could go ahead, and if I wanted to do more, I could search for the 911 records of that incident and stuff like that. So that's where you go into where I'm like, all right, I got to do a deeper dive and figure out, but here's the basic shit is right there, you know? And I mean, if I saw that with anyone that I was meeting up, I'd be like, nope, absolutely. You're not going anywhere with him, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I would have said no just by the fact that it was not even their teacher, and them.
I would say no, that it's not even their parents.
Yeah.
But apparently, okay, so according to one of his websites, one of the parents knew the guy, they claimed. But like, how well do you know him if you don't know that, you know?
Yeah. Even that seems strange to me to begin with. A man,
I think so too.
Teenage girls, I don't think so.
Yes, I don't think so too. Oh wait, does this show the man where he's talking about? This might be the video of one. Hold on, of the dad saying he wishes that there was a way that he could have checked. I'm not sure. I haven't played this yet, but I think this is father mourns it. So.
Brittany Brewer's father mourning the loss of his daughter.
I'm just lost. I still, it hasn't sunk in yet. I still think she's going to walk in right behind me or walk up next to me. It still hasn't sunken in that she's gone.
And her siblings now mourning the loss of their sister.
They're just taking it really tough and hard. I mean, they're just, words can't describe.
Community members, students, and families gathered Monday to remember and pray for all the victims involved in the Henrietta tragedy. The victims' classmates ending the school year without them.
I knew Ivy really well. She was a great person. Great personality.
Ivy's brother spoke to us after the vigil, a devastating void now in the Webster family.
A lot of crying, really sad. I mean, only daughter in a house full of boys, so obviously my mom's super upset.
The tragedy, a shock to the community and a heartbreak to the families that can't be understood.
Horrible. Truly tragic, especially because we've known this family for like 2 years now.
But Brewer says the families are finding a sense of healing from the community.
And Oklahomans come together, and God's got us, and Oklahomans, and we'll get through this. It's just another tragedy, and we'll get through it.
Oh no, it doesn't. But anywho, I know that there is one, and I'm not sure if that's the dad or if it was the other dad. One of them came out and said, "I
Following the
wish that
breaking
there
news out of Maine,
Oh.
where a mass shooter
that they wished that there was a way." And I'm like, there is a way though. Like, and I don't know. It surprises me though that a lot of people don't know that, but apparently, that definitely is something that people don't know. So I don't know. It's still like it boggles my mind. So I'm like, all right, well, hey, you know what? I feel like if you're a parent, grandparent, whatever, like actually even single people, married people, whatever, I feel like you could use
Everybody.
this for everything because
Yeah.
you never really know. Like, you don't know. You never know who's out there. So, all right. Okay. I've got a half hour before I gotta pick up Kylie, so I can do another one, or we can
We can
end.
do it
It doesn't matter.
if you want.
Okay. Okay. Let's do Samantha Joseph. So Samantha Joseph, she went out, out on the town with some of her friends, and she was just having a good time, and she drank a little too much, and she knew that she was going to be drinking. So she knew that, like, I'm going to be calling an Uber home. That's just what is going to be happening. But she always kept in contact, like, with her friends, her family members, and made sure that they knew that, like, she was safe after she got home, right? So she ends up ordering this Uber, and she's waiting outside. It's like 2 a.m. at this point in the morning, and her friends have, which is another great thing to have, is Life 360 on her phone. And that's not sponsored or anything. It's cool to have because you can see where all your friends are at, like, or family members, and you
Oh
can
yeah,
link
I've
them all
got it.
together. Yeah. Yeah. So they had that on their phone, and they're like, wait a second, like, her Uber driver is driving the wrong way of, like, where she is. Like, they're like, that's weird. And they know that she didn't go home with another boy. They knew that she was calling an Uber. And they tried, like, texting her and being like, where are you going? Like, did you know your Uber driver is driving the wrong way? And they don't get a response. And they kept an eye out on her, and they did that. They're like, I wasn't going to sleep until I heard from her because I needed to make sure that she was good. Like, I mean, she had good friends that were looking out for her, right?
Mhm.
Well, I think it was around about 4:30 in the morning. Could be wrong on that. But anyway, her friend notices that her shared location is off. It's gone. And that's still in the wrong direction of where her house is. It's about 30 miles away. And she's like, okay, that's not right. Plus, her friend actually is the one that ordered the Uber for her. And she notices that the Uber driver canceled. And she's like, so whose car is she getting into? She calls the Uber guy, and she's like, hey, so you were supposed to pick up my friend, and then you canceled. Why'd you cancel? And he said that he waited around 10 minutes for her, and she never showed up. And so that raised alarm bells for her friend. She was like, no, that's not okay. And she called 911, and like a lot of people, they think they need to wait 24 to 48 hours to report someone missing, and that's just simply, like, not true. You can report someone missing even if you think that they've been gone for 5 minutes. I mean, I'm sure police would not appreciate that, but you can. And she goes ahead and gives her a call and is like, and calls 911 and is saying, look, my friend, she's missing. I don't know where she is. She got in a car, went the wrong way. I don't know what happened. And so police end up, taking the report. They stay up, wait for police to come, and they take their report, and then they end up going to the bar that they were at to see if they had any like footage of where she was. They didn't, but the there was a restaurant across the street who did have surveillance of her, and they can see that she ends up getting into a car. Um, she ends up getting into a backseat of a car, and it was not a Dodge Charger like the car that she was supposed to be getting into. It was this gray, like little sedan thing, and she got in the back seat, and you can see her get in the back seat, and then the car drives away. And her parents are asked by the police, they're like, hey, did you notice, did she take out any money or like spend anything, since the time that she's been missing? And they're like, no, but there are two denied transactions of ATM transactions. So they're like, okay, they were denied. Okay, interesting. So they go and they are actually able to get the ATM footage from the bank, ended up tracking it down where she tried to get the ATM. And they got the ATM footage, and it is of a man dressed in all black with his hood like this, so you can't even tell who it is, and tried to get out money out of two different locations. So they tried to get money from her own card. Um, and with that, I mean, at this time, like, she's missing. They have no idea where she is. And well, yeah, and what was the bar's name? Oh yeah, it was Bird Dog Bar. Yep. Yep. And you can actually see, like, on that surveillance too, that Uber driver did end up trying to come. It was about 10-15 minutes after, and then, she's just gone.
Probably someone pulling up and being like, "Oh, are you waiting? I'm here to pick you up. I'm your Uber."
Well, she literally, like, the car literally, you could see in the surveillance, pulled up right next to her, and she just took off and went right in the back seat. Um,
Does Uber
so
have any sort of like safety protocols
no,
for you to like
no,
with your driver?
no, and I wish that they did. Like, I feel like this would be so easy to implement, but just be like, I
What
mean,
color
like,
car, a picture of the
right.
driver.
Or have like a code, even a QR code. Let me scan that code and make sure that you're the
That
right.
place to make sure, because I could see being, a woman that had just had alcohol and being like, "Oh, it's my Uber,"
Yeah, because it was like 1 or 2 a.m.,
Right.
at this
And if you've
point.
had alcohol, you're impaired, so you're not
Right.
thinking straight,
Right.
regardless of if it's one drink or two, whatever,
Right.
And so there
And
should be some sort of implement something in place
I
with Uber.
I feel like there should be, because I feel like
And
it
if
would
they
be so
haven't
easy.
done that, they should definitely do that. And there's an idea for Uber right there for safety
Right.
measures.
Well, like, it's so, like, on the other side, so if you're an Uber driver, you have to push, like, yep, I have them, and then go. But there should be a thing on your side of the app that says, yep, this is the right car, like right license plate, or
Details, something to
they
match.
should have, yes, they should have something. And that should be too, like, just a rule of your own rule that you don't get in until, like, or like I said, like, if they scan it, like it's a scan code or
Or they
something,
show you
like,
their
so
phone.
easy.
Like, you can have them roll down the window and be like, "Can you just match that you're my Uber driver?" Like,
Like,
show me that you're actually
eh,
an Uber.
yeah, because, like, I mean, they could be like, oh, what's your name? And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, come with me. That's who am I
Yeah,
supposed to
here
pick
to pick
up?
you up, which is probably the words that were
Kind
used.
of what, right? Just be
Um,
like, oh yeah, what's your name? Oh yeah, I'm here to pick you up.
yeah.
So I mean, I feel like that there could be something. And there's not right now. There's not anything like that. And I feel like that is such an easy fix and such an easy, just another little thing, you know? I mean, this is also why, I mean, too, she's impaired. You can tell that she's drunk from the video. And then, I mean, no, it wasn't the same car or even the same color. But again, she's impaired at that point. It's like 2 a.m. She just wants to go home, you know?
Dark blue
And she
looks
thinks,
black when you're impaired.
right. And like, and she just went there and was like, hey, I'm, you know, like she thinks she's doing the right thing by getting an Uber and not driving home, you know?
Yeah.
So, so there was someone that was walking with their friends, and he was walking with his friend and his dog actually came across, well, some bloody clothes. And then they end up finding her body on their walk. And he ended up calling 911 right away. And so she had 120 stab wounds on her. 120.
Wow.
You could tell that she tried to shield herself because some of the marks are like this. It looks like she was putting her, like, trying to shield her face and stuff, because there was just stab wounds all over here, all over here. I mean, there was even one, like, it was brutal. It was brutal. So, you know, they're trying to, who did this? There's stab wound. So in the autopsy report, face, neck, torso, back, lung, legs, feet. She was ultimately sitting there and dying for 10 to 20 minutes while this person was stabbing her. And then just left her in New Zions Field, where she'd later be discovered. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, it was turkey hunters. I apologize. So it was two friends, two turkey hunters, and their dog ended up finding her. I mean, just... So, police were actually able to match that car that was driving around the description, that the one that they saw in the surveillance video. So they were able to do that, and that is how they found out who was driving that around. So they were able to follow that on video and find out what the license plate number was and who owns that car. So they ended up tracing that car back, and they traced it to what was his name? It was, I'm going to say Roland. Yeah. Nathaniel Roland. And so they went and got a warrant to search his home, to search his car. And they found out that there had been liquid bleach in there. There was wipes, there was window cleaners, and then there was also her pink iPhone, as well as a lot of blood in the passenger seat and in the trunk. And they noticed that the child locks were activated, which would have prevented her from escaping. So when investigators actually searched the trash behind Nathaniel Rowland's girlfriend's place, they discovered too that there was uncovered cleaning, two bladed knives, had her blood on them. They matched. There was also a sock and bandana that was owned by Rowland, and there was also her DNA was under his fingernails. And that's one thing I gotta say: if you're ever being attacked, scratch the hell out of that person. scratch the hell out of them, because DNA left under your fingernails is like the one of the best evidence that you can have, and it's really hard to get that shit off. Some sort of DNA is normally left under there. So if you scratch the hell out of them, it's your his DNA will be under your fingertips. Like if you have to scratch them, and it will be under there. It so so because of that, and they actually found footprint patterns that were unique to his shoes that were found close to her crime scene. So they don't know for sure because he ended up doing a plea deal, but they think that it was a kidnapping gone bad, because there was another woman that came forward saying that she was kidnapped and allegedly carjacked by two men, and she claims that it looks a lot like him, and they drove to an ATM and they robbed her of her money, and she was being forced to drive home, and they ended up stealing some of the items like a PlayStation 4 and stuff like that were end up in a pawn shop, and they matched Nathaniel Rowland's name under it. So so it looks like it was like a robbery gone wrong, that he was going to say, look, I'm going to, I need your ATM information. And then, it wasn't right or whatever. Or maybe there wasn't anything in her bank account. Who knows? Because he went to two different ones and then apparently decided to kill her. So the girlfriend too, his girlfriend originally was like, yeah, he was with me. And then she comes out later and she's like, actually, there was a time I woke up around 2 a.m. and then he was gone. And then I went back to sleep because I didn't really think about it. And then she's like, well, he was supposed to take me to work the next morning around 7 a.m. and he wasn't home. So then he gets home and his shirt has blood on it. And I asked him what's going on. And he said, mind your business. And then he ended up taking her to work. And now people are coming at her being like, well, why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you say anything to him? Why didn't you call cops in? Dude, if a man has blood on his shirt and says mind your business, and you might be already in a domestic violence situation with this person, there's a chance you're not going to say anything because you're fearful for your own life.
I was gonna say, there's no way he probably wasn't abusive towards her.
Right. So people are coming at her too, and I'm like, you don't because they're like, why didn't you come forward? Like, because she didn't come forward until he was already in jail and stuff, and but you don't know too if he's got friends, because that other witness that was kidnapped and hijacked,
There was two.
flat out, there was two of them.
Yeah.
And she said that there was two men, so it's not like it was the girlfriend and boyfriend doing this together. So it sounds like, to me personally, she didn't know what he was doing. He was just doing it, But who knows? There's a whole bunch of conspiracies on it. Oh, well, she was in on it. And I'm like, well, not necessarily. You never know. She could have technically, yes, but sounds like to me he's doing this and then he's telling her to mind her business and keep your mouth shut, and might be abusive as well, You never know. So not that this is a good thing, but one good thing that did come out of this is that Sammy's parents ended up fighting with lawmakers and making sure that the United States Congress actually craft a ride share safety bill, which is Sammy's law. So it actually requires ride shares vehicles to have their front license plate and illuminated window signs. So that's why you have to see the Uber, the Lyft, and they have to have that. So any states that don't comply with this will have a 1% federal highway funding, which a few of them don't. Which I'm like, why? Why wouldn't you want that? Like,
Yeah.
another thing on the bill says that they must have background checks condemned by the companies, which they do. But I feel like there could be a step more to this just to make this protection, because this isn't like the first time that something like this has happened where someone says, I'm an Uber driver, and someone gets attacked. I feel like there could be a step more. And
Yeah.
hopefully that does become it. I think her parents probably did push for more, and this was what they settled on, which is good. I mean, one thing that you can
Start.
it's a start. One thing just to make sure, like, make sure that that license plate adds up. Like, anytime I get an Uber or Lyft, I freaking take pictures of their car, like, and I take a screenshot of who I'm supposed to be with, and I send it to, a friend or family member that knows where I'm going. I'm
Mhm.
like, just in case, here we go. This is where I am. This is who I'm supposed to be with. Like,
Heck, I do that even before I go on dates.
yes.
With
Yes.
people.
And you
Turn on
should.
my location and
Mhm.
send a screenshot of their phone number information, everything. If I had
Yep.
had to run a background check already, but you never know with people.
No, you don't. You don't. And it's scary. And so yeah, again, that's why I always think too, it's good to check up on people, but it's good to just be aware of your surroundings. And I feel like her friends definitely did the right thing there. Like, they stayed up, they waited for her. She didn't contact them. So they decided to contact police right away, which again, you don't need 48 hours to contact police. You don't even need 24 hours. Like,
Well, especially in those kinds of situations too, because it's in
right.
the first 48 hours that are the most important, anyways.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
definitely don't wait.
Definitely. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us today. As always, like, subscribe, leave your comments. And if you have opinions, feel free to duke them out. Duke them out respectfully. And Jessica here, let people know where they can find you.
Oh, well, my TikTok, but I can give you the link for it.
Okay.
I don't even know my username.
Oh, you don't? I was like, yeah, you could shout it out so that they're
I think
listening.
it's Jessica A_3681.
Okay. All right. And yeah, I'll link it down below as always. Everything, all the links and everything will be down below. And as always, guys, just